And you just in time for Richard Mwenja exclusive, the year of our Lord 2024. It is always a distinct honor and pleasure to have you on board today discussing a raft of issues in the world of politics, governance, and a bit of economics in. And with me to dissect on the day's conversation is none other than the only point of call on matters political, governance, and economic analysis in Kenya and the larger East Africa, the former minister, the first of his name, Ruto Arab Kirwa. Yeah. How are you, sir, today?
Quite okay. It's my pleasure, as always. Yep.
Looking sharp, laid back, calm?
Calm because the alternative is a disaster.
The alternative is a disaster?
Yes, you must learn. And that's why I usually say, even when somebody offends you, forgive him because it allows you to lift the burden of your heart. And you may scale the ladder of aging more gracefully.
Well, that of the way, and straight to the day's conversation. And how about we start from something positive, that is the appreciation of the Kenyan shilling against the dollar. Something which has made the president profile himself as a latter-day economic messiah. And it begs the question, are we finally seeing the fulfillment of what he promised, that is going to turn around Kenya to be a nation that not anyone could imagine it will scale to its heights?
Well, I think it's always good for somebody to play his own trumpet, because the voice is his, and the volume of air is the one who is injecting it. Otherwise, it's a bit too early. Ask yourself, where were we when he took over power? He took over power when a dollar was 125, and it went to 130, up to where it is today, about 137. And he promised us with G2G fuel arrangement, a dollar may come to 120 or even 115. So we are yet to see it at 120, let alone 115. So it is too early to play his own trumpet. Number two, it is good that is his job. He was elected to serve this country. And he will do it and take back the dollar to where it was, 120, 115, 117, 110. So be it. But he's still far from achieving, even taking it back to where he found it.
Are you then somewhat saying that he's not doing us a favor by turning around the economy? It is actually what he should have done in the first place, within the first 100 days in office maybe?
Yeah, because you see, it's like when you pay for a ticket from Kitale to Nairobi, and you get into the bus. The bus is not doing you a favor. It is giving you the service that you bought from Kitale to Nairobi. So if he reaches Moss Bridge and he tells you, oh, the ride is so smooth, thank me for doing it. That is frivolous. It's a trivial. It's not an issue that he should be talking about. He should leave it to lesser mortals like the Murkomens, Cheruyot, Ishungwa, and others to say it. Otherwise, at the level of the president, he should not really project himself to that level of saying he's a messiah. Well, I know he reads the Bible a lot, but some of the reading, you cannot really have it as an analogy. A messiah does not belong to us. He belongs to another level of spirit.
Economic messiah.
Economic messiah is the wrong analogy.
Very well. Oftentimes, we have seen the government of the day implore us to grant it some grace of time to bring forth the fortunes they promised us. And it begs the question, can the government really afford it? And are Kenyans justified to ask for more from their government?
What we are asking, and this is what I strongly believe should be reasonable to ask for any regime, whether it is William Ruto or any other president for that matter, is that any time you take our taxes, give us commensurate service, also demonstrate to us that the taxes are safe with you, and therefore give us reason to implore us to pay more. But if the taxes are not safe, given what we are reading, a lot of wastage from control of budget, a lot of pilferage that we are getting from the Office of Controller and Auditor General, and a lot of wasteful expenses, some of which were not budgeted for. So when you budget for corruption and you expect us to tell you you are doing well, that is wrong. We would expect that any regime in power, today or in future, when you take people's money, bring them back the services, and use your innovation to even make it better than what you promised. And of course, in the rule of marketing, you say under promise, over deliver. If you are supposed to deliver a certain unit to me, whether it's a phone, tell me we'll deliver by Friday. But by Thursday morning, you're already at my door. So that makes the customer feel this is a very reliable salesman. Otherwise, if you tell us you are delivering on Friday, oh, there's a holiday. Tuesday next week, you say the person who was supposed to do that has gone on safari. Next time, I will choose to buy the product from another person.
So the cardinal rules should be under promise but over deliver.
Over deliver, yes.
Very well, makes sense. And talking matters pilferage in how we handle public funds and misappropriation of taxpayers' money, the question on board is, are we seeing more of devolved graft in our devolved units of government? The 2010 constitutional dispensation sort of promised us a better government which is in touch with the reality of the people at the ground, and one which will better maximize what taxpayers give to the government. But this far, if you look at the auditor's report and also reports that we are seeing scandals after another, did we punch above our weight when it comes to devolution and actually using it as an easiest conduit to account for taxpayers' money?
It is a bag of mixed fortunes in the sense that some of the counties have done very well. And the ratio of the development money to that of recurrent are very impressive. But in a majority of counties, you realize that possibly they deliver, development gets about 10 to 30% at best. But many other counties are doing worse than that. So my take is that, yes, we should not be too harsh to devolution. What we should do is to look at the fundamental challenge. That the fundamental challenge is governance. Governance in the sense that if there is corruption in the county, it is part of our pervasive national culture that we have allowed now to devolve to various counties. And the cure to that is to fight the vice called corruption by improving governance structures. Number two, we need also to do a number of things. One, audit the human resource capacity and the human resource presence in every county. I've said before, and I still insist, there is a lot of people who are not working, but they exist in payroll.
Ghost workers?
Ghost workers. Those ghost workers should be exercised so that we let the manpower that is required at the county do the job. Further than that, we also need to ask ourselves, how many people do we need in a county like Trans Nzoia? Do we need 2,000 people to serve from the county all the way to the location? Or do we need more people or less? So that you have optimal number of people working. The second measure of audit is national government. We need to do serious audit to see whether the human resource complement that we have nationally is the requisite number that we require, or we need to change that complement so that we have fewer people but working in the most effective areas. The third issue is, are we assisting the human resource to retool their skills from time to time? Or are we just all using the old style to run new emerging areas of innovation? For example, you young people, there is the issue of ICT, where 5 people would do the same job. Today, one person, with the press of a button, is able to achieve a lot of synergy. So all those are innovations that we need to do at government level. The final thing is that we need also to change the orientation of the people about what is said to be corruption.
Very well.
I can tell you today corruption is popular in Kenya. Why? If I'm corrupt and I'm sharing with my villagers what I'm taking from the national kitty, those villagers will always celebrate me. They will say I'm the right person, mi najua kutafuta mali. But if I'm corrupt and I'm keeping it to myself, those villagers will stone me. So corruption is still popular in Kenya. Nobody should lie to you. even the ordinary people, when you go for votes in the next election, watasema toa kitu. Hiyo kitu utatoa wapi?
The place of money in Kenya's politics.
Yes, that is money, money, money. Money speaks.
Let's advance that conversation further. And the recent revelations by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei has actually elicited mixed reaction. He says that should a financial audit be done today, 80%, if not all governors, will actually be headed to the jails for them, or to the prison stela for their measurements to be taken. And it begs the question: could there actually be an iota of truth in Cherargei's revelations, or it could be just feeding on the political fodder of the day?
Well, from the lifestyle audit that I always do as an individual, it has a lot of truth in the sense that you see somebody who got into office the other day, he never used even 10 million shillings. All of a sudden you hear he's buying a house here in Nairobi worth about 200 million. And we know the salary of a governor. We know the salary of various officers in counties. But I would hate for us to make a blanket condemnation. That's why I'm saying an audit would assist us to look at where are we losing money and why are we losing that money and who is taking away that money. My only worry is that in all political formations, the party bigwigs, as it gets to the next election, will be asking these governors and other various individuals to get money for the campaign. Where are they getting this money from? They must be getting from the coffers. And if they are borrowing from the bank and they get into office because of the popularity of the party, they must recoup and pay the debts that they took money from the banks.
So then again, now to reverse this trend that we are seeing, what should now be the cardinal rule, the lighthouse, that Kenyans should tap into so that they don't make such mistakes in 2027?
What they should be doing is, Kenyans, first of all, should disabuse themselves of the notion that when one of our own is at the presidency, we are safe. That should be the beginning point. We need a good president. We don't need to know his tribe. Because good people, at times some people serve us in the bank. And we get a lot of good services. And at times you don't ask because you know the person, Joseph or Angeline, whatever the name, you don't ask which tribe. Look at the girl who passed on the other day, Rita Tinina.
Sure.
I did not know that she's a Maasai. To me, I looked at her as a good professional, very courageous, and very innovative.
Voice of the voiceless.
Voice of the voiceless. But if she was bad, I would have known which tribe. So at times when you are good, people even will forget the tribe. Which I think even in the last election, Mount Kenya bloc never saw Ruto as a Kikuyu. He saw as one of them by identifying with their aspirations and perceived frustrations. But those frustrations have come back to pursue them again.
You think they were duped?
I don't know whether they were duped or they agreed in the stupor of prayer. Yeah. They must have prayed and they were taken by another spirit and they voted. Rightly
put there. And as we edge close to the wrap of the conversation, let's cross over to a bit of politics. And it has to do with the recent revelations and sentiments of none other than East Africa Legislative Assembly member David Ole Sankok. That which he says Raila Odinga, the leader of Azimio and the chief in the opposition, will never ascend to the power of the presidency in Kenya here. But the best he could do is to be the president of AUC, and perhaps why the government is endorsing him for that particular bid. Could there be an ounce of truth in Sankok's revelations, or is it somewhat informed by his own internal fears or whatever?
Well, I think it's informed by his own internal excitement. He must be excited that he got the job. And it is good for him. But I've said before, don't write an obituary of a politician unless you are standing on top of the soil that covers his body or at the side of his grave. Yeah. So otherwise, you cannot dismiss any Kenyan. Raila may go to AU, and after 1 year, the demand here locally is that he comes back because the situation needs somebody like him. Raila may not even clinch the position, Because, Richard, remember, even if East Africa countries support him and he does not get a block of 2/3, that election will be repeated. And if the second round he does not get that, they will postpone the election for another 6 months. So in the intervening period, things may change, that Raila may find it not tenable to go to AU as a commission chair.
So what do you make of Sankok's sentiments? Do you consider them underwhelming, or what could be your word to him?
I would actually feel that he disappointed me, because I know David Sankok is a very intelligent Kenyan, and somebody very considerate, somebody compassionate, but now it takes it away from him whether he's a thinker or not. Thinkers don't speak like that. And if that is the way style he wants to copy, that is reserved for the school of sycophants, what we call a cabal of opportunists who would do that so as to impress the king. Yeah.
Instead of telling the king that he's naked.
No, yeah, that's the whole problem. Because you see, court jesters, that's what they used to say, including the person who designed the guillotine. He wanted to make the king happy that this machine can cut somebody through without a lot of pain. Then the king said, now let's try with you. So guillotine became a victim of his own imagination and innovation.
Well, there you have it. I hope Mheshimiwa David Ole Sankok has actually listened, and he will be willing to tap into the nuggets of wisdom from the think tank himself, Ruto Arab Kiro. It's always a pleasure to have you on board, and you don't take your support for granted, sir.
Yep.
You're always welcome here.
Yeah. This is service to my nation.
Service to your nation.
Yeah.
Not service to the people of Cherangani, the entire nation.
The entire nation, because the people of Cherangani elevated me to national stature. And as I go back to them, I always say, you made me what I am, and I still appreciate you.
Do you hold them dear to your heart, even at this time?
All the time, because they took care of me for 20 years. Even your son and daughter, when you get them, you'll take care of them for 18 years, and you'll leave them to the wild. They kept me for 20 years, and I'm happy. And when I go home, I still enjoy some respect, which is not like some of the former MPs. When they go, they disappear, and they don't come back home.
And I hope you don't abuse people on church pulpits anytime you're in Cherangani.
In fact, I don't sit at the front. I sit where the rest sit. And when I'm given a chance, I humble myself, because that's not my domain. God gave me a chance to be a leader, not a preacher, not a prophet. So at times, William Ruto is exceeding the limits.
You mean you don't pronounce yourself that you are chosen by God anytime you go to the church?
It's a privilege to be a leader. It's not a divine intervention that the rest were not chosen by God.
And you're the best thing that happened to Cherangani or Kenya?
No.
After the sliced bread?
I could have been an accident that handled himself very well. Even to be born is an accident. Somebody else could have been born in your place.
And named Olempatiani.
Or anything.
Well, there you have it. That point takes us to the wrap of this conversation. Always a delight to have Ruto Arab Kiro on board. And also your company is never taken for granted. Until we meet next, do enjoy the rest of your day. Remember to keep this conversation going beyond here. I'm at Mwenja Richard across all social media platforms. If you have something that you want to engage us on, please slide into my DM on Twitter. If you want to grace the show or perhaps contribute to one of our subjects in the subsequent editions, also slide to the DMs of my social media platforms. And truly, we are likely to consider you. Until next time, do enjoy the rest of your day.